Hi everyone, this is Jim Tolles, and I wanted to talk about hiding from the truth in this particular video. It's an interesting idea, right? But it's something that a lot of people do. And it's the truth about themselves, it's the truth about their lives, and it's just the truth in general of what life is all about. And we have this amazing game that we're playing in this culture and the world at large with hiding from the truth. And the truth are things like having lots of stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't make you happy. Money doesn't make you happy. Being beautiful doesn't make you happy, or being handsome doesn't make you happy. These are all external things, and stuff like this. The truth of the external world cannot make the internal world happy. It cannot bring you love. But a lot of people are engaged in a very elaborate game to hide from this truth, and it's so complicated that it's kind of like the great big lie. And this is something the Nazis learned. It's like the bigger the lie, if you tell it long enough, people start to believe it. And this is why spiritual awakening is so shocking, is because it just strips all that away and says, nope, that is all crap. It does not matter what house you live in. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. Money only matters up to the point of being able to survive. If you're taking care of yourself and you're able to take care of your family, after that, money doesn't mean that much. That doesn't mean you don't plan for the future. I mean, the ego likes to run with all of its little games to say, but I need this, I need that, I need this, and it really is ultimately fear-based. Right? This is also the truth of most unconscious egos. And I always split that between the unconscious ego and the conscious ego. The conscious ego knows it's a construct. It's like, I know that the identity I have here, Jim Tolles, is a construct. But it gives you like a name that you can know, so you can search on me on Google or whatever to find out what I'm talking about, because it interests you, right? It gives you that kind of point of reference. And so in that way, it's useful. I don't have to act a certain way. I don't have to talk a certain way. I don't have to be any sort of particular way, right? But the unconscious ego thinks it does. So that's kind of that big difference between the conscious and the unconscious. So the unconscious ego has no idea that there's another way of living life. It has no idea what the real truth is, and it avoids it at all costs because it sees it as a threat to how it thinks. It seems really straightforward, and that's the truth about the truth. It's really straightforward. And it's most stuff that people already know. It's like people already know that certain things aren't healthy for them, but they do it anyway, right? They're hiding from the truth. Like, people know that alcohol's a poison. That's what it really is. And you can kill a lot of stuff and sterilize stuff with it. And that goes with, what it does to your body. People know this. It's not news. It's the truth, but people don't want to pay attention to that. And so, people drink lots of alcohol and it causes lots of problems. And it's interesting because as people on the spiritual path really start to engage with the truth and start to come out of hiding, you go through different layers of illusion, layers of things you didn't see, different blind spots, different levels of unconsciousness, because we've been in such elaborate games to hide from ourselves, to hide from the truth. And so a lot of times, especially with the people in awakening, it's like they'll clear off a level. It's like, wow, I must be over. And it's like, well, no, this is just like the first doorway of the doorway of the doorway to get to like the front yard of stuff, because people can get so elaborate to hide from the truth. And people, we create communities around ourselves that help us to hide from that truth. And so people are highly judgmental or surrounded by other highly judgmental people, and so having that sort of judgment is a way that they can hide from their hearts. People do this all the time. It's hiding from the truth of the heart, and the way they feel. It's like if you lose a loved one, you have to grieve. Like, no idea can help you through a grieving process. That's just a matter of the heart, and that's the truth. But a lot of people think they can think it through or do this or do that and somehow avoid the discomfort, and you can't. There's a lot of discomfort in life you just can't avoid. It's just part of living in this world. And that too is part of the truth of living here in this time, in the human body. So there's just a lot of discomfort we can't avoid. It's simply how it is. And so coming out of hiding, it can be a startling process at first. I mean, over time, it just becomes the way you are, and it's actually incredibly freeing. because you don't have to keep up all these complex lies in your life to hide from it anymore. For a lot of people, you know, they go on awakening, like, and I'm thinking of women right now, and they've been doing all this stuff to be beautiful, and then suddenly it doesn't matter. And there's this kind of phase where, you know, the old ego's like, no, it does, it does, it does, and then eventually that kind of falls away. And so much less energy goes into having to look a certain way. And there's a certain radiance actually that actually comes out of, well, pretty much anybody as they rest into themselves, because they're no longer really constricted trying to look a certain way. It's like if they hold on tight, you know, they'll look a certain way, and they just look constricted and lost and trapped. And so in taking away the mascara and the designer clothing and all the energy that has to be put to create that ideal, which for most women, they can't even achieve the ideal they think they want. I'm not sure any of them achieve the ideal they think they want, you know, considering that now all the pictures we're looking at have been doctored and changed in certain ways, so you don't even actually see real women in those pictures, or real men for that matter. They're all being made to look a certain way, which is now just completely fictional. If we all stopped and looked at them as just cartoon figures, we'd be all way better off, but we don't. We actually look at them as real people, and they're not. Not after you've done it digitally with pictures. And so not having to adhere to those rules anymore is so freeing. It frees up so much of your energy. I mean, a lot of people in awakening, they actually have more energy at different times because they're not expending it all in these useless ways of trying to hide from the truth and to hide themselves. So much of the process of the spiritual path is moving into being seen. And it starts by you being able to see yourself. If you can't see yourself, then you're going to keep trying to hide from it. And you have to see it for every, you know, mole, wart, misstep, wrong word, everything. It's all part of your expression, and that's okay. Melt out of the place of to hide, it's going to feel different. Standing in full sunlight after you've been in a darkened room is really jarring. And for those of you who are taking a more gradual approach, like, you give yourself some time to let your eyes adjust, but don't run back into the tunnel. If you do that, you already know what's back there. And it starts to create this interesting division where a part of you starts to realize that truth, becomes more active. The more you stand in that light, it's like, you know, seeds start to germinate, things start to grow, and it's like, wait, I don't want to stand in this darkened room anymore. I don't want to just do a job that I hate. Why would I want to do that anyway? Right? It starts to stop making sense, because it doesn't make sense. Because this idea that if we do something we're miserable at will somehow help us be happier later. Always putting happiness on to later and later in life, and just filling our life with regrets. And there's just so much we can do. And there's so many different ways to take care of ourselves and to live our lives. And there's just no time like present to start doing that. And there's no knowing how long. And that's the truth. And I think there's an idea that we can kind of put off living life until some later point, and then we can live it, you know. And it's just like, you don't know that. You don't know that you can make it there. You don't. You may have a heart disease and be dead tomorrow. This sounds morbid. This is actually the truth, right? The truth of it, realizing that death is real, that we cannot run from it, that we don't know how long we have. So into this realization is actually very empowering. It doesn't make you passive. It doesn't make you in any way naive. It just makes you incredibly clear about what is truly important in your life. And so I think it's my parting words for this particular video. I encourage you to stop to see what is truly important for you in your life right now, and to start pursuing it. Once again, my name is Jim Tolles. I blog regularly at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. I hope you're having a beautiful day.